Hello everybody, I'm Dave Robbins with Endtime Ministries, and this is your Prophecy in the News. I want to talk to you today about voting. How should we vote as Christians? Of course, we get the question here all the time. Endtime Ministries, how are you going to vote? Who should I vote for? Well, of course, we don't endorse a particular candidate, but we can tell you a decision that you need to make that will help you vote and make a better decision when it comes voting day. The question is, how should we vote? What you need to determine is, what kind of country do I want to live in? It's plain and simple. A vote for the president or the governor or your senators, congressmen, or even a mayor they will point you in the direction that a country, that your state, your community, your families, all of these decisions are based on what kind of country do I want to live in? What kind of community do I want to live in? So when you're voting for anything, that's what you need to decide. Once you decide the kind of country you want to live in, or community, or how do you want your families ran, then all you have to do is look at the issues that those candidates stand for. It all comes down to the issues at that point, once that decision is settled. And when you look at something like the presidential election, of course, defense spending and national trade, all of those issues are important, of course. Tax rebates and this, that, and the other, that's all important. But what we want, if you're a Christian, you want the favor of God on this nation, then you have to look at godly issues that God would judge us for or be in favor of. So you say, well, what would bring the judgments of God on this nation? What are some of the things like that? What are some of those issues? Of course, when you look at some of the issues that are on the ballot today in the presidential election, there's same-sex marriage. Of course, God defined marriage way back in the book of Genesis as between a man and a woman. So any leader that would get in office, or any candidate that would take us away from that definition of marriage, that will bring the judgments upon America. We've got to look at that. Any society that has taken on same-sex marriage or the gay homosexual lifestyle has inevitably went into moral decay and been destroyed. Look at history. Read your history books. And then, of course, abortion. Abortion is simply killing a baby. And God told Moses back in the book of Exodus, "Thou shalt not kill." It was a commandment, and it'll bring the judgments of God upon this nation. Of course, acknowledging that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. It's very important to God. Several times in the Old Testament, God said, "I will put my name in Jerusalem." And so God proclaimed Jerusalem the capital of Israel, way back in the Old Testament, several times. And so we need to acknowledge that because it's very important to God. And of course, school choice is on the ballot this year. And the main thing about that is that if that legislation was passed, it would allow students who are being in schools right now where prayer has been removed and where the theory of evolution is being taught as fact. If school choice vouchers and things the legislation was passed by one of our candidates, it would allow parents a choice on where they could send their children to, even a religious school who would teach biblical foundational principles, which would bring the favor of God into their family. So some of these issues are very, very important in keeping the favor of God on this nation. Remember, this nation, the only reason the blessings of God have been on this nation up until now is because this nation was based on biblical foundational principles. And if we elect a leader who will take us away from that, then we're choosing what kind of nation we want to live in. God will take His hand off of this nation. But if we want to keep the favor of God on this nation, then we need to elect somebody who will who will decide and lead us towards God, and that will keep the favor of God upon our nation. And so those are the things you want to weigh. What kind of nation do I want to live in? Once you decide that, then you look at the issues of the candidate. Educate yourself on where the candidates stand on those issues, and then that will help you decide how to vote. It's very simple. If you're a Christian, we want a leader who will lead us towards God, because that will keep the favor of God upon our nation. So very simply, that's the best way we know how to tell you how to vote as a Christian on November 6th. So I want to thank you for watching. I'm Dave Robbins with Endtime Ministries, and this is Prophecy in the News.